Welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast, the only podcast for dance studio owners, where each week we bring you business growth strategies to help you increase your profits, impact the lives of more students, while ensuring you get back some time to have a little life outside of the studio. It's time for you to become the go-to studio in your area. Now, here's your host, founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association, Clint Salter.
Hey studio owners, it's Clint here from the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. Thanks again for joining us for another week of inspiration, motivation, and tactical strategies and how-tos on how to really take your dance studio to the next level. I'm excited to be in New York City today, one of my favorite places in the world, and really looking forward to meeting so many of you over the next couple of months at many different dance studio owner, dance teacher conventions and conferences that are happening. Now, if you want details of where I'm going to be presenting and running workshops, please jump onto our website, dancestudioownersassociation.com, and check out the event tab. All the information is there, going to lots of different events over the next couple of months, and would love to meet you. And please, if you come to any of these events and see me speak, please come and talk to me at the end, and I would love to meet you. I love meeting our listeners and our association members. So please don't run away at the end. I would love for you to come up and say hello and give you a hug and say, thank you for being one of our amazing supporters of the work that we are doing. Okay, so today's interview is with Russ Ruffino. And Russ is really an expert when it comes to acquiring new customers. Now, he works with a lot of coaches and consultants, which you'll hear from our conversation, but I wanted to get him on because I know that a lot of the principles and strategies that he teaches is transferable to us, to dance studio owners. And so we talk a lot about your enrollment process, how to, really put in place a reliable marketing plan that attracts the right people, the right parents and students you want into your studio. And so I think you're really going to love this one. Here is my time with our guest, Russ Ruffino. Enjoy this one, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Hey, Russ, how are you today?
Hey, Clint, how are you doing?
Awesome, man. Now, I'd love to start by telling our audience of dance studio owners a bit about what you do today in your company to help your clients build successful marketing and sales processes.
Sure, yeah. Well, my company is called Clients on Demand, and primarily we work with coaches and consultants and also like high-level professional service providers, attorneys, accountants, people who do search engine optimization, web design, things like that, where whatever it is, they're helping their clients solve a major life or business problem. And that's exactly what we do. We help people create sales funnels, just like you said, to get the right clients at the right price anytime they want.
Yeah, awesome. And I wanted to bring you on today because this is a little bit of a foreign concept for dance studio owners, but I think it's one that they need to know about. And there's definitely things that you do that they can apply to their studios. Russ, what's a sales funnel? If someone's listening and they're not sure, can you kind of tell us quickly, what is that? How does it work?
Yeah, well, a sales funnel really simply is an online process that targets the target audience that you want and basically gets them engaged in a process of learning about you, a process of learning about the value that you provide, and learning about why they need your service, and that ends with that client, that person actually signing up with you to become a client.
Yeah, awesome. Now, studio owners, I hope you can identify this is what you do essentially in your business, is that someone will jump onto your website and maybe they'll opt in, they'll give you contact details to come in for a trial class or get a class pass, or you've produced a guide or some videos around, what you need to know before you come to dance classes. And that's kind of the beginning, right, Russ? That's where they start to kind of get to know, like, and trust you.
Exactly. So in our business, mostly what we use are webinars, and webinars are probably overkill for a dance studio, if you're a coach or a consultant or something where you really have to, really establish your authority because, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars, in business at stake, or, someone's health or relationships are at stake and the stakes are very high, then you need something very powerful like a webinar to establish that connection, to establish your authority, to really create that relationship, just like you said, where they know, like, and trust you. Now, if it's a dance studio or something like that, then you're right. It could be any of those other things. It could be a short video. It could be a short guide. It could be, any number of things. And I don't really think it needs to be, a big, heavy, like hour and a half long webinar or anything like that, just to get people to come and dance with you.
Yeah. What are some of the mistakes that you see businesses making when setting up a sales funnel? Really,
it's failure to understand their clients' needs. That's the biggest thing. So people ask me all the time, they go, Russ, what is the most important quality that a marketer can have or that a business owner can have? And they're always a little bit surprised by my answer because my answer is always empathy. It's empathy. And the reason empathy is so important is that you've got to understand the problems that your target customer has, and you've got to understand how you can solve them. So, like, what do these people want? What are they concerned about? So, for example, and listen, I'll be honest, I don't work with dance studios, but let's just explore this off the top of my head, right? If it's a dance studio that works with, works with kids, what are their concerns? What are their parents' concerns? Parents' concerns are probably that the training is going to be too tough, that it's not like a welcoming, safe environment, that their kid's going to get injured. So these are all things that you have to address in your marketing. On the other hand, if it's a professional dance studio, they want to know that the level of technique is going to be really high. They want to know that they're going to be pushed, that they're going to see a huge improvement in their technique and their ability going forward. That's going to give them the edge when they go out and audition for different productions and things. So you've got to really, take a moment to take a step back and project yourself into the mindset of the person that you want to work with. What are these people concerned about? What do they really want? They're coming to dance, but what do they really want to get out of it? And most importantly, what do they want to avoid? And then once you understand those things, you can start to weave that in to your marketing. And if you do that well and you do that right, your marketing is going to stand head and shoulders over everybody else in your industry, because everyone else is going to be talking about themselves and how great they are, but you're going to be talking about your potential clients and what they need. And actually, that's all people really care about is, can this person give me what I want? Can this person give me what I need? And so that's going to make your marketing so much more powerful if you just weave in that empathy and explain things from your customer's point of view, not from your own point of view.
It's so important, and obviously this is something we talk a lot about in our association, because everyone's always saying, they're writing a Facebook ad copy or they're writing copy for a landing page or their website. They're like, I don't know how to stand out. All I want to say is, have fun, build confidence, make new friends. And I mean, everyone is saying the same thing. So you're kind of taking it to the next level there by getting them to really understand. And we talk about, what are the dreams of the parent? What are the fears of the parent? And all of those things, like you mentioned, are so crucial so that you don't sound like everyone else. Because I can imagine in your space, Russ, and I know you predominantly work with coaches and consultants, a lot of them are trying to work out how they can stand out from the pack as well.
That's right. And again, I think the best way to do that is that most of the people in your marketplace or in any marketplace, really, they spend all of their time talking about how great they are. We've been in business for this long, or, we're special because we do this, or we're special because we have that. When really nobody is explaining things from the perspective of what what your target customer needs and what they really want. And sometimes they want something deeper than what's on the surface. And you've got to take the time to really get to know your target audience and find out what those secret dreams and desires are that they have, and build your communication around that instead of building it around, how great you are, frankly.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if we've got a studio owner listening that's like, this is totally resonating, it sounds great, but maybe they're not 100% clear and they don't have clarity around what it is their customer wants. I mean, what are some suggestions you have on how they could kind of dive a bit deeper and figure that out with the customer?
Well, sure. So one of the things that every studio should be doing is maintaining a client or customer database. A database of everybody that's ever come in, everybody that's ever asked about, dance lessons, and everybody that's actually signed up. All of those people should be, be placed onto an email list so that you can do things like send out newsletters and send out email broadcasts to those people. If you can get their address and phone number, obviously that's great too. You can send out mailers. You can, you can ring people up and ask them what's going on. So the simplest thing to do, if you don't really know what these people want, is to send out a survey. And there's some fantastic websites out there like surveymonkey.com and woofu.com. Are the two of the ones that we use. And what you can do is put together a series of questions that just ask those questions. What's most important to you? What's the most important thing from you that you really need from us, that you want to get out of this experience? What are some other experiences? Have you ever trained at a dance studio before? If so, why did you leave? How were those other guys not meeting your needs? These are all great questions to ask, and you just put them into a little survey and you email it out to your audience. And if you want to, you could attach some kind of reward to people signing up. Like maybe if they complete the survey, they get some kind of a coupon, or they get a free lesson, or they get something. But you want to send these kinds of surveys out to your audience on a pretty regular basis until you understand what their priorities are, and then you don't have to guess. You know what I mean? Once you get their answers and once you get their information, you know for sure what they want, and then you can begin to make sure that from top to bottom, your marketing, your service, your studio, everything you do is designed around meeting the client's needs. So it's a really much more of a powerful way to do it, because the whole business becomes an engine for giving people what they want, which is what I think that's what a business really ought to be.
Agree. Putting the customer at the center of it. I love this. I think it's great. Now, I want to jump into marketing, because you talk a bit about cross your fingers marketing, which we love that concept. Can you tell us a little bit about this? And instead of doing cross your fingers marketing, what should you be doing?
Well, what I like to do is we use a totally different type of marketing called direct response marketing. And what direct response marketing is it's marketing that's designed to get people to take an action. So it's very different than the advertising that you see most people do. I mean, when you're driving around a lot of the time and you see billboards, you see ads in magazines or whatever, those ads really what they're trying to do most of the time is just create brand awareness. You'll see an ad for Rolex or something, and it's just to get them out there, get you thinking about these things. You see ads for different restaurants, it's just to get you thinking about those things. But what we do is called direct response advertising. And what that is it's designed to get people to take a specific action. So just to give you an example, Clint, let's say, for example, that you ran an ad on Facebook, targeting your potential clients. And it said, the 5 mistakes you never want to make when choosing a dance studio for your child. And people could click that ad, and they would go to a landing page, right? A website that says that same thing. And if they, leave their name and email address with you, they can download that guide and get that information. And of course, once they have that information is going to be peppered with all the mistakes, the bad things that other dance studios do, but that you don't do, and how you do those things right. You do those things correctly. And what that's going to do is it's going to position you as a powerful authority in the minds of your target audience. It's going to position you as somebody that's giving them value up front before they've ever even given you a dime. And you're going to position yourself as somebody that doesn't make those mistakes. And so that's the power of direct response advertising. Then you could follow up with them. Then you could give them an offer to come in for a free lesson, or whatever your main kind of magnet is to get people in the door. You can start to make offers that way. So that's the difference. That's direct response advertising, where you put your message out there, you immediately start to get a relationship, and then you expect them to do something, to take action immediately to begin to engage with you and engage with your service.
Mm-hmm. I love it. It's great. Now, to make sure we're putting our advertising in the right spot, we obviously need to know where our customers are hanging out. We always like asking, knowing for the parents, what are their media habits? Where are they hanging out online? What Facebook groups they're a part of? That type of thing. I mean, can you tell us your approach with your customers around how do they know where they should be putting their advertising?
Well, in our business, most of our clients, have been able to find their target customers on Facebook. And the terrific thing about Facebook is it allows you to get very, very detailed with who you're targeting. So people don't realize this, but the reason platforms like Facebook and Twitter exist is that, it gives you the chance to hang out with your friends and share pictures of your kittens and all that other stuff. But all the information that you post on Facebook, they're aggregating that information, and it allows them to really get to know who their users are so that they can serve advertising to their users in a very, very hyper-targeted way. So as a business owner, you can take advantage of that because it's like, on Facebook, it's so precise that if you wanted to advertise to, women in Los Angeles who have 3 kids and have an American Express card and drive a Mercedes, like you can literally get, and are interested in yoga, you can literally get that, that precise. So the way that you should know who you want to target, right, is most of the time, you want to target people that have the problem that you solve. And the best way to do that is to target other people who are solving that same problem. So in other words, your competitors. Most of the people who do very, very well on Facebook, they're targeting their competitors' audience. And that is one of the simplest ways to do it. You ask yourself, okay, well, who else is providing a similar service to me, who has, clients and customers that have the same problem that I solve? And how can I target those people? And Facebook pretty much, allows you to do that like in a laser targeted way.
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems that our audience have is that, example, the pages for the other dance studios in the area are quite small. So let's talk about, because this is what they think. They try and put in another dance studio's page and they're like, well, it's not coming up because that page might have like 500 likes, right? But what they can be targeting though is they can be using audience insights and using pages that, particular mothers like mums and bubs pages. Can you talk a bit about audience insights and how we could use that?
Well, Audience Insights is a terrific tool, and what it does is it allows you to put pages into Facebook that have your target audience, and it'll tell you a lot of different facts about who that audience really is, but also other things that audience really likes. And so it's an amazing, amazing resource because the more you use it, the more you start to understand where your target market hangs out and where you can find them. So Audience Insights is a fantastic, fantastic tool to find your target customer. I mean, Facebook knows so much about the people that use it, and that's what makes it such a powerful ad platform. That if you really tap into Audience Insights, Facebook will tell you, hey, look, this is who you should be targeting, and this is where you find them.
Yeah, it's quite scary when you first go in there to realize how much Facebook actually know about you.
Yeah.
I want to talk about discounting because I know it's something that you talk about a lot with your clients. We talk to our studio owners a huge amount about discounting because just to let you know, Russ, generally they'll have a pricing structure set up where, if you do 1 class, it's this. If you do 2, if you do 3, if you do 4, you get a discount. The more classes, some people have like uncapped where you can come to as many classes as you like a week for a certain amount. And a lot of the time, some of the pricing structures they've set up are not great for the business. Can you talk a little bit about discounting and how it can not be great for the business, even if it's good for the consumer? Yeah.
What happens is when you start to discount and over discount, you start to commoditize your business. Where let's say, I don't know, what's a kind of dance that's really common among your clients that they teach?
Let's say preschool ballet classes.
All right, preschool ballet classes, right? If you have other preschool ballet classes in your local area, the problem for your business, the sort of the fastest road to ruin for your business is to get into a price war with them. Where you're discounting their prices, and guess what the guy across the street's going to do? He's going to discount his, and then you're going to discount yours, and then he's going to discount his again, and you get into this thing where it very quickly becomes a race to the bottom, where your profit margins begin to evaporate because you've discounted so much just to compete because you can only compete on price. That is a situation where nobody wins. And so what we do and what we train our clients to do is that you need to position yourself as the Rolls Royce of your target market. So instead of positioning yourself as the cheapest and trying to differentiate that way, What you want to do is differentiate yourself by being the best and making sure that everybody knows it. Now, you will begin to appeal to a certain segment of the market, right? You'll begin to appeal to the kind of buyers that want the best. And let me tell you something. Those people are infinitely easier to work with than people that are bargain shopping. So I don't own a dance studio, but if I did, I would do my best to make sure that from the moment people walk in the door, people understand that this studio is a cut above all the other studios out there. That you've got the best program in town, you've got the best space in town, you have the most qualified instructors, they're warm, they're fun, it's a welcoming experience, it's a place that makes people feel great just to be there, and you overprice your competition. You price yourself as the premium solution, that you are the one that everybody goes to when they want the best. And what that's going to do is by charging higher prices, you'll actually be able to work with fewer clients, but still make more money. So what that means is that class sizes might be smaller and more manageable. There might be fewer kids in the class, but you get to give them more attention. They get to have a better experience than if you've got, if you're charging a really low price per class and the only way you can make money is by cramming a bunch of kids in the room and they're screaming and it's just insane. That's not what you want. You create a completely different experience. It's a better experience for the client, better experience for the teacher, better experience for the kids, and you make more money that way.
It's a really interesting concept, and I've seen it done really well with a really small amount of dance studios who have gone down this journey, and they do it extremely well. A lot of what our studio owners say is that it could be quite scary for them to make that transition. And I'm sure you've had these conversations with your coaches and consultants as well, who are like, fear kind of jumps in and they say things like, well, no one's going to pay that money and I won't have a business. How do you kind of coach them around that?
Well, you realize that people pay money for the stupidest things imaginable. There's this really famous company. I wish I could think of the name of it right now, but it's this really famous company. They place ads in magazines like Rob Report and magazines that cater to wealthy people, and they sell Panama hats. And one Panama hat is like $22,000, and it's just like this ridiculous thing where the hats are like hand woven and all this other stuff. But it's a Panama hat. I mean, and it might be the best Panama hat in the world, but they're charging $22,000 for it, and you know what, they're getting it. So the point is, what is expensive is completely relative. You know what I'm saying? If I had a little daughter, and I have a son, I don't have a daughter, but let's say we'll roll with preschool ballet. Let's say I had a daughter and I wanted to put my daughter in preschool ballet. I would send her to the best program I could find, because I'm a successful person, and that's just how I operate. That is my default operating mechanism, where if I look at the dance studios in my city and one of them is 30% more than the other ones, that's the one I'm automatically going to choose, just automatically, without even thinking about it, because that's the kind of buyer that I am. And there's a lot of other people like me who will choose the more expensive option, not in spite of the fact that it's expensive, but because it's expensive. And that is what human beings do. When we see two cars on a showroom floor, let's just say that let's say we went to another planet, right? And they were selling spaceships, and we didn't know anything about the different spaceships, right? We had no frame of reference whatsoever. And they told us one spaceship was $400,000 and the other spaceship was $30,000. Which one would we assume is the better spaceship?
Yeah, exactly. The more expensive.
Right, exactly. So that's a very, very, very powerful drive for a lot of people. And yes, it can be scary. And yes, it can be a risk, but you know what? What's the alternative? The alternative is you discount and then the other guy discounts, then you discount some more and then he discounts some more, and you drive your own business right into the ground. And unfortunately, that's what happens. And when you're charging a higher price, some really magical things happen. First of all, your clients show up much more committed, right? Like, you're going to have a lot fewer people missing their class, or a lot fewer people flaking out on you because they've invested at a premium price. Like I said, you're gonna probably have fewer clients but make more money, which means you can provide a better experience for each of those. And you'll have higher margins so that you can reinvest in things like building out your studio, like making it great, like adding those things that you want to add, whatever, if you want to put new mirrors in or put a new bar in or whatever it is, you have the money to do that. But when you're competing on price and you're discounting and the other guy's discounting, those margins, your profit margins get really, really tight, really, really fast. And that's why you see these studios that have like, cracked floors and cracked mirrors and a broken sign they can't afford to replace. It's because they're not charging enough. And they think to themselves, oh, if I charge more money, my business will disappear. But no, if you charge more money, most of the time you're going to have more money and you can create a better experience and you'll attract people who pay for that experience.
I completely agree with you. And what I love is that kind of piecing the puzzle together is, I think when you have the copy that you talked about and your advertising is really speaking to that problem, the wants and the needs of your customer, they then will pay for it. But guys, if you're still putting out there, come along and have fun and we're amazing and we do all of this, and you're trying to charge higher prices, I think that's where the mismatch would happen, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So no, that's great. Russ, you talked about Facebook advertising. I mean, we talk a lot about Facebook advertising, and I always love to ask, what other ways do you suggest that people speak to their target audience?
You mean besides using Facebook?
Yeah, besides Facebook.
Well, right now, I have to be honest with you, the only inbound channels we use really are Facebook advertising and Twitter advertising. So there's also Google AdWords, things like that, but we have not really dabbled into those too far. So I don't want to, I don't want to talk about things I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
And since we started, running the offers that we're offering now, we've only done those on Facebook. We have not done those on Google, but Google is also really powerful as well.
Yeah. So what are you doing on Twitter at the moment in terms of ads?
Well, on Twitter, Twitter allows you to do what are called promoted tweets. And so we're running these Twitter ads to webinar sign-up pages, just like we do from Facebook. And it's been working really great. And Twitter is actually a really powerful platform, and it's pretty affordable. They have great support. Yeah, it's just quality. I mean, my advertising manager, Adrian, was like, Russ, we should try doing some Twitter ads. And I was like, no, that's stupid. It's never going to work. And she was like, look, let's just try it and see what happens. And it turns out that it worked terrifically. So
yeah, fantastic. We've started using that and using like the cards, because you know how you can have like the card ads on Twitter. And it's, again, it's just working out where your target market are.
Exactly.
If they're not on Twitter, obviously don't be putting ads on Twitter.
Well, one of the things that, exactly. And one of the things that Twitter is actually terrific for that Facebook doesn't do is, let's say I'm running a Facebook campaign and I put like 5 different interests in my targeting. Okay. Facebook will tell me when I get a conversion. So like if I'm sending people to my website to sign up, Facebook will say, hey, somebody signed up. But what they won't do is tell you which of those 5 interests brought you that sign up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's because like ideally you want to have a separate interest per ad set, right? So you can see.
But Twitter will. So like in other words, I could target your Twitter followers and 5 other guys' Twitter followers. And when I get a conversion, Twitter will tell me you got this conversion from one of Clint's followers, or you got this conversion from one of the other guy's followers. And that's really valuable information, because you start to realize whose Twitter followers, whose audience has the best overlap with yours. And you can start to drop out the people that are underperforming and scale up the people that are overperforming. And so Twitter makes that very easy for you to do, which is one of the reasons I really like it.
Yeah, awesome. That's going to save you a lot of time as well, because creating, I know at one point we had like hundreds of ad sets, and it took a bit of time to set those ads up. So that's a great advantage of Twitter. Russ, this has been really good. I'd love to finish off by asking you, you've worked with many, many business owners now. What are the 3 patterns that you've seen that these successful business owners have? Like, what are they doing daily? What are they doing in their business to make it a success?
The most successful business owners that I know are focused on revenue generation, right? You want to always be focused on getting new business in the door. And the mistake that most business owners make is that if you're a chiropractor or you're a dance instructor, you think that your specialty is chiropractic or your specialty is dance. And that if you're just really, really good at that thing, your business will take care of itself. And I can tell you right now from experience, that is absolutely not true. If you take a dance studio, like let's say, you have a dance studio, where there's like a world-class instructor from like the Bolshoi Ballet who's like absolutely amazing, but who doesn't know anything about marketing. And then there's another dance studio where it's basically like a stay-at-home mom who was never a professional ballerina, but just knows a little bit about ballet, but is a phenomenal marketer. Her business will crush the other business.
I love it. I love that first one. Yeah. Revenue focused.
Yeah, is to be revenue focused and to understand that a huge part of your job is marketing. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, this can be a terrible thing for you if you don't know how to market. But if you do know how to market, it's very easy to dominate your target market. And wherever you are, I can tell you right now, chances are your competitors don't know anything about marketing. So just by the fact that they're listening to this podcast, Clint, and that they're following you and they're engaging with your stuff, they're going to be light years ahead, probably, of the other people in their target market. And it's going to give them a huge advantage. In my opinion, the biggest possible advantage, because really at the end of the day, the person that can charge higher prices and the person that can get more bodies in the door is the person that's going to win.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And I mean, you wouldn't believe the amount of conversations I've had with studio owners that have said, but Clint, we've got an amazing studio with great teachers. People should just be coming to me. And I was like, you need to change your thinking. Mm-hmm. What's number 2, Russ?
So that's the number one thing. The number 2 thing is to set aside a certain amount of time every single day where you're focused just on growing the business. And so for me, I try to carve out at least a 4-hour block every single day where I'm just focused on growing the business. And what I'll do is I'll sit down and I'll set a timer and I'll just work on the most important things. So you've got to have the discipline to do that. And then I would say that the third thing is to understand is to think from your goals, not of your goals. And this actually should probably be the number one thing. This is the most important lesson I can tell people, is that you've got to think from your goals, not think of your goals. And the difference is this. If you want to take your dance studio to $50,000 a month, you have to think, act, walk, and talk like someone who's making $50,000 a month today, even if you're only making a fraction of that. And what that means is that you should do things like make sure that your place is pristine. You should make sure that you are the number one game in town. Like if you had a dance studio that was bringing in $50,000 a month, you probably would be the number one game in town. So if that's who you want to be, you've got to act like that now. You know what I mean? If you're thinking to yourself, well, if we were doing $50,000 a month and we had that big of a business, then we would raise our prices. You need to raise your prices today. You need to you have to become the business that you want to be and the business owner that you want to be, the person that you want to be. You have to become there in your mind first. And then it starts to show up in your life if you can live in a way that's congruent with that new vision of yourself.
I love it. I love it. That is my number one. I think that should be your number one as well. That's a really powerful message. Hey, Russ, if our studio owners want to know more information about you and what you do, what's your website? Where can they find you?
If they want to check out my website, there's a couple places you guys can check us out. My website is clientsondemand.com. And if you want to check out one of our webinars, because you heard me in the beginning of the call, we talked a little bit about webinar marketing and how powerful it is. If you want to see that, you can go to clientsondemand.com/webinar. That's clientsondemand.com/webinar.
Yeah, awesome. I think that would be a great resource for our studio owners to check it out. Well, Russ, absolute pleasure. You have given, I can see that our studio owners' notepads are going to be full because they're going to be writing down all these notes thinking, wow, I could do that. I could do that. So appreciate you sharing so much wisdom with us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today. For all the resource links from the show and to receive access to our free dance studio growth training, make sure you visit transformmydancestudio.com.